when they go to pass out stool, they may experience a bulb or a bulging coming out from their anus, and after a while it will go back on its own. That's a grade 2 hemorrhoid, internal hemorrhoid. And sometimes they may experience equally bleeding, pain, and irritation. In grade 3 we have this prolapse that will not easily go back on its own, but when the person force it in by itself or by herself with maybe the finger, it will go back in. Then the grade 4 will have a prolapse that will become very painful and very difficult to push it back in. So
you talked about rectum. I think there are a lot of people who are watching us and they have no idea of what rectum is all about. What exactly is a rectum?
Well, this is an anatomical structure that from the rectum it goes down into the anus. So it's a part, it's a portion of that connects the bowels with the anus, so it carries the anus. So the part that you see, the opening outside, is the anal region, the anus, if I can say in that kind of simple term, and the rectum is inside. It connects the bowels, the large intestines that descends down, and the rectum carries it. So it contains a stool and pushes it out through the anus.
You talked about internal and external hemorrhoids. Does one lead to the other?
No. They are all different. Some people may experience internal hemorrhoids, some people may experience external hemorrhoids.
And now, does the age matter?
Well, the age plays a huge role. We experience hemorrhoids especially within the ages of 45 years to 65 years. This comes about by the activity. We look at the children. Children will hardly experience with hemorrhoids, but we have some little percentages of the children who can do hemorrhoid caused by constipation, and maybe even hereditary, because the muscles, like the anorectal muscle, immaculate, you really have to excuse me because we can't talk without me using these terms.
We need it.
Yes, we need the terms. So the anorectal muscles, they have a genetic bearing. So in some families, these anorectal muscles that will lead to, that have the anal sphincter. Anal sphincter is the kind of pipe, a tube that hold, or valve, let me say in that way, that constricts anus and it relaxes it for physics to go out as you wish, the voluntary action, and you release. But in some families, you have this muscle around that area weak, become very weak. So the anorectal muscle and the cartilages around that area may be weak within some families. So a hereditary cause as well may be associated. In this case, you find kids experiencing hemorrhoids, but constipation is one of the major causes within this age group. Generally, you will have hemorrhoids within the ages 45 years and 65 years.
Now, how different is constipation and hemorrhoids?
Now, constipation is a cause. Constipation, you can say, is heart stool. That can lead, is one of the causes that can lead to hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids is inflamed, as I earlier highlighted, inflamed veins. Now, with heart stool, you see during a straining bowel movement, when you are doing heart stool, maybe because of your diet, and there are many other things that are associated with this kind of heart stool, you press so much on the anal veins, and you spend a very long time sitting on the toilet or in the toilet pot. In that way, the pressure, high pressure, will be exerted on these anal veins, and it will lead to these veins bulging, and that will lead to the hemorrhoids.
Talking about the external and the internal hemorrhoids, are the manifestations the same?
Right. Yeah. Normally, they will experience the itches, the pain, the irritation,
Where
even
precisely?
even the bleeding
At the anus?
at the anus.
Okay.
Yes. For the external hemorrhoids, you will see it. It's that bulge that is externally. Now the internal must be a prolapse. Prolapse means something coming from inside and just falls down. So they both, you experience the same kind of symptoms. You have a discomfort, you have an itching, you have pain, irritation, and bleeding.
If you're a victim of hemorrhoids, I think now it's the time for you to call and ask questions concerning hemorrhoids. Today, we are ready to answer all those questions. You can call the following numbers, which will soon be displayed by our technician on the screen, so you can get answers on problems that have been disturbing you as far as hemorrhoids is concerned. And the numbers are 655 511111. I repeat, 655 511111 or 652-025050. And if you're just joining us on the program, then know we are talking about hemorrhoids, a major problem which is affecting a good number of Cameroonians. So now I want to know, how common are hemorrhoids in Cameroon?
Right. There's a study carried out in Yaoundé that highlighted over 6% of the Cameroonian population suffers from hemorrhoids. This as a result of the various activities equally that we carry out. Maybe Immaculate, I talk about the causes as well. Yeah. The causes of hemorrhoids, number one cause is the straining bowel movement. Now, our diet, what you eat, may lead to, we already highlighted, constipation.
Exactly.
And that will lead to this pressure exerted on these anal veins. Another cause, diarrhea, chronic diarrhea. Someone goes to toilet frequently, may equally be exerting that force on the anal
but that
veins.
Is diarrhea. That
Yes.
means it does not need force.
It does, because you keep going, you are wearing now the anal sphincter. Anal sphincter is a valve that
We have
opens.
a call on the line. We'll come back to those causes. Hello?
Hello? Oui?
Yes, hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, your name, where you're calling from, and your question.
My name is Jacob. I'm calling from Bafousa.
Okay. Go ahead with your question.
Okay. I want to find out from the doctor. She talked about the type of hemorrhoids where the anus is like coming out, and when you push it back, it can go in, it can go back and remain, and there will be no pain. Now, is there a cure for that type? Okay, because each time it will have to come out again, and then when it is pushed, that's the first question.
Okay.
The second question is, does it mean that if you stay long on the toilet pot, each time somebody stays long, it is dangerous? It can cause hemorrhoid.
Okay.
Those are my worries.
Okay. We'll be answering that in a few seconds. I think before we come to how to cure that particular one, we'll first of all talk about, does it mean staying on the toilet pot for a long time? Does it mean it's hemorrhoids?
Right. Why stay on the toilet pot for long? Like diarrhea. That's what will keep you on the toilet pot. Now you keep passing out stool. The anal sphincter, that constant activity, opening and closing the veins equally, are experiencing this pressure, and that's where the pressure comes in, and the veins may get inflamed and swell, and that is hemorrhoids. So stay on the toilet, but it's not just about going and sitting on the toilet pot without you experiencing a bowel movement. When we say stay on the toilet pot, it's about the bowel movement that takes you to the toilet.
How long should one stay in the toilet then?
Now, well, it will not be determined by an individual. It's about the bowel movement. If you have a chronic diarrhea, there's no way you can say you just go and go out. No.
Okay.
There's an activity that is obliging you to be there. And equally with the heart stool, you want to force. So the time, you can't say, well, just for 1 minute you force and no,
get out. Yeah, it's true.
So it's what is keeping you there. It's about the bowel movement.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we talk about the cure, I want us to first of all finish the major causes. We'll come back to that as question on how to better cure hemorrhoids for sure. So now we're talking about causes, and you were given some major causes of hemorrhoids.
Right. We've talked about the straining bowel movement.
Exactly.
There's equally pregnancy. Pregnancy is a huge cause because the uterus wears on this anal region and it exerts that same pressure. There is equally obesity. When you're obese, your abdominal muscles, they are wearing each time on that anal space, and you experience that. Then, talking about the constipation, you have to drink a lot of water. Dehydration, there's also a cause. Some people will hardly drink.
We have another call on the line. Hello? We just lost that caller. Yeah, you were talking about dehydration.
Right. So we should be in the habit of constantly drinking at least 3 liters of water per day. Then the diet is a huge cause with the constipation issue. Foods rich in high fiber foods, like fruits, vegetables, whole grain meals, all sorts of fruits, all sorts of vegetables will increase the peristaltic movement. It will increase the bulk in the bowel, and it will easily pass out the stool. And there will be less pressure on the anal region.
So now, can carrying heavy weights equally result to hemorrhoids?
Right. Anything increasing the pressure on the anal region, the pelvic anal region, it will. That's why this age group, 45 to 65, usually this is an age group. Before you reach that age group, you must have been subjected under some strenuous activities, lifting, doing one thing or the other. So equally, lifting is a huge cause. Even coughing, those things will increase the intra-abdominal pressure that usually wears on the pelvic region and goes down to the anal region.
And how are hemorrhoids diagnosed?
Well, the hemorrhoids, we have the history of the patient. When the patient comes, you have to take the history, and equally on physical exams. Now, the presenting complaints of the patient will direct you towards that diagnosis. If a patient comes and the presenting complaint is like, I'm having some itches around the anal region, I'm having a swelling, I'm experiencing pain, I'm passing out a blood-stained stool, those kinds of, then you check.
Yeah, we'll get to this caller. Hello? Hello? We just lost that caller. You guys should try insisting. We are going to be answering all your questions as regarding hemorrhoids, and that's why we have Dr. Glory Befeke here for those questions. So now I want us to look at something. Hemorrhoids, you say they are common. But now with the cases of children, apart from the fact that it can be hereditary, what can be the major causes of hemorrhoids when children are concerned?
Constipation.
Okay.
Mothers should be careful with children. You have to provide a balanced diet for the children to avoid constipation. A child should not be constipated. That's one of the major causes of hemorrhoids in children.
You equally advise that we should eat foods that are rich in fiber. What are some of the foods we need to avoid, especially when one is a victim of hemorrhoids?
Right. Caffeinated drinks, cheese, these fast foods. Well, if you come back, you can talk about the plantain, those hard, dry stuffs, chips, meat, even meat.
Meat?
Yes, meat.
Why?
Meat.
Why meat?
Well, maybe it's less in fiber.
Okay.
Yes, meat. So we should avoid some of these foods that do not have fiber. Fiber, yeah.
Okay. Now he brought up the person who called gave a question on treatment.
Yeah.
How do you treat the particular hemorrhoids that comes out? That's external, right?
That's a prolapse. The case he mentioned was the grade 3 prolapsed hemorrhoids. Okay. There's the external hemorrhoids. Then this one he just talked about, the one you have to push and
yes.
So treatment, we have the medical treatment. You can equally have the home-based treatment, medical. We have surgical as well. For his case, it's surgical.
Oh,
yes. Now, for the medical treatment, we have to emphasize on the diet. Then we equally have to emphasize on the topical treatments, like the cream. At home, you can even go over the counter. If you realize you're having an external hemorrhoids, not the prolapse type, the external, you can appreciate by yourself. You can even touch. You see it on the skin, around the skin, around the skin of your anal region. The prolapse type is the one that comes from inside. That when you push, it will go all the way through. It will come and it will go back on its own.
So it comes out from inside?
From inside. Okay. So that's why it's internal.
Okay.
Then external, you see, is always around the skin region.
Does it mean the skin looks different?
It looks different. It looks with bumps. You have it swollen.
Okay.
Yes, and the color equally. So you see, it's the blood that is inside, clotted. So we talk about equally the thrombose. Thrombose, that's when now the blood at that area coagulates and clots. Then it stays there as a thrombose type. So we emphasize on drinking a lot of water, the high fiber meals, exercise as well. Because when you exercise, it will equally help that contraction and relaxation. Then there's equally the water sit bath or the sit bath. This is a warm water bath that the pelvic region, you sit in that water from the pelvic region and the anal region. So you sit in it. It's warm. This will help with the healing process. It will equally help relaxing you with the discomfort and helping equally with the blood flow, because the thrombose, once the blood collects or stays at a particular or in a particular pouch for a little long period, it can cause that thrombose. It can cause the kind of clot, and that equally is a huge complication. So the sit bath,
can work on that.
Can help with that. And in the case of bleeding, when you are bleeding, you have the ice packs as well in the house. Someone can help you with it.
So that's the natural. We have a call on the line. Hello.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name, where you're calling from, and your question.
Are you guys at the Equinoxe right now?
I didn't get you, sir.
Maybe it's the wrong number.
Yeah, you made a mistake. So now I want to know, in case hemorrhoids are not treated early enough, what are some of the dangers involved?
Yeah, it's true hemorrhoids will not lead to cancer. Some of the dangers, there are these complications like the thrombose that I earlier mentioned. Thrombose means a blood clot, blood that stagnates and it gets clotted. Now with this kind of situation, with the blood return, the venous blood return, a little portion of it, an embol. Now when it now gets cut and starts moving or migrating in the blood vessels, it can go up right maybe to the lungs and can cause maybe a kind of complication at that level. It can block the little passage of the blood, and once that supply is cut short, oxygen may not arrive, food supply may not arrive, then we will start having some death. Now, depending on which area that happens, the danger may really be serious or be severe. So once you experience maybe an irritation around your anal region, you experience a pain around your anal region, it's true itches, some other things equally can cause the itches, some worms can, but if you experience those itches in association with the pain, with the swelling, with the bleeding, prompt action needs to be taken. Make sure you consult your physician.
Okay. So now for those who maybe they are very far from the hospitals and they don't have access to hospitals easily, so those in the northern part of the country, what are some other healthy remedies they can use? Like, you talked about sit bath. Apart from that, what are some others? Are there others? Are there some rubs?
Oh, yeah, like the over-the-counter cortisone, hydrocortisone. They just go over the counter and say they should give the anti-hemorrhoidal creams. They will give, and equally they should lay emphasis on the diet, because if your diet is high or is rich in fiber, you hardly have it.
You equally mentioned the fact that some cases need surgery. How much can surgery cost?
Oh, immaculate. There, I may not be able to tell you the price because it varies.
Let's talk about the least hospital. How much can surgery really cost? About how much approximately?
Maybe as from 100,000 and above.
Wow.
Yes. It's expensive.
That's quite expensive.
It's quite expensive, yes.
So definitely they should not allow it to get to that level, right?
They shouldn't. They shouldn't. And if it's running already in the family line, yeah, checks, constant, regular checks should be carried out.
Talking about constant means I have to, the person has to go to the hospital.
Hospital. Make sure you consult a physician.
How frequent?
6 months. And when you experience any pain, any blood, any irritation, make sure you should report to the hospital. There are equally some medications that you can take for pain, anti-pain, over the counter, ibuprofen can help as well.
So you equally mentioned about the fact that people suffering hemorrhoids should not eat plantains. Well, this our country where we are so used to the food because it's available and it's a little bit cheap compared to some other foods. How do you expect them to cope?
Right. It's not to keep them away from the plantain, but it's about how you manage it. There are people who don't drink water. So if you take such hard meals and you don't rehydrate, you don't hydrate yourself properly, it will become so hard in your system and it will cause that. So plantains, when you eat, I was just citing some food items that are hard, that when you eat, make sure it should go alongside the vegetables. You should have a balanced meal. You eat plantains, vegetables, fruits to help with the digestion so that you can easily have a soft stool and easily pass out stool.
Does it mean if I just notice that I'm suffering with something like the symptoms you talked about, is there a particular time to go see a doctor, or I should just go immediately and see the doctor?
Well, you can observe. You can observe, like at home. If you realize you've been having constant pain, 1, 2, 3, you should consult a doctor. But maybe if just once or twice and you realize you ate something. Some people even hot spices, like pepper, pepperish,
constipates
it will irritate. Yes, it irritates the anal region. Well, there you know you ate something. Then you should adjust the meal. So it's about the dieting. It's a huge contributing factor to that.
Drink lots of water, eat foods that are rich in fiber, and equally take fruits. That's what I was able to get from Dr. Glory Befeke Epuza Anye, and that's where we end today's edition of the program aired on Equinoxe Radio Multimedia. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe, and I had technical assistance from Ephraim Yemeli. Have a lovely day in the company of more programs on Equinoxe Radio and television. So long.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
Comme chaque année, de nombreux enfants rêvent